Hey, this is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review football division. Division championships?
Conference championships.
That's what it's called. I know football kind of.
This time next week, we'll know if my team's in the Super Bowl or not.
Well, they are my backup team as well, considering all of my Minnesotans are sad without their Vikings in it anymore. Maybe next year. Gotta get one of those dynamic quarterbacks. So in this week's news, we had all we hear about in the mainstream media is tech layoffs. And guess what? Produce is not immune to that.
No, we are definitely seeing it in the produce sector. And tech specifically, we're not really seeing it elsewhere. Obviously the biggest news is a bankruptcy involving $188 million in claims. That's the Lakeside Produce out of Canada. It's really surprising that it's that big, honestly.
But I'm also surprised that it's like a traditional greenhouse grower. Because most of the ones that had bad news lately have been very similar to the tech industry, supported by a lot of venture capital, kind of the Wild West on, throwing money at them. And, one of the companies affected kind of did famously say that, not everyone's going to be a winner in this. And we're starting to see some of them get layoffs, closing farms, having to reverse stock split because they're not valued at $1 a share. So the Nasdaq's going to drop them. So they have to do a reverse stock split. Calera did that. What was it? Not Local Bounty. Edible Garden did that one. Plenty, another one of those ones that a year ago got $400 million from Walmart and was planning this huge expansion. Kind of quietly closed one of its largest farms at the end of December. And then Iron Ox, another one that was a robot greenhouse, is doing some layoffs. So,
well, that one's closing completely.
Oh, closing completely. Or was that one? That was fifth one, the fifth season. That was the one that closed.
Oh, you're right. Iron Ox was laying off half its staff. There's so much to catch up with and keep track of.
Yeah. 2 years ago, it was how much money are they going to throw at this? And we joked often, and we're like, oh, great, another week, another $1 billion going into indoor farming. But one of these days, we're going to have to see them make a go at it commercially and have some commercial success. We also famously saw one of the most commercially successful greenhouses bought one of those VC guys. Master Nardi bought App Harvest, one of their farms.
It jumped out at us because the 80 Acres CEO only a year and a half ago gave a pretty famous interview with someone else, Ag Funder News, where he mentioned that there will be winners and losers with very big names. And he wasn't sentimental about it. And we talked about how long before we start seeing this. And it's even coming up to his company. Investors are starting to demand profits and profitable operations. And I think they are out there, but I think it was a little bit off-putting at times when a lot of these startups would talk about revolutionizing and putting field grown out of business and a new food model. And it was I don't think it was very realistic.
Right.
Economies of scale in farming are a huge deal. And to act like the people who've done it for centuries have a failing business model, I just don't think I don't think that was reading the room properly.
Right. And to be honest, right now is a really great time for collaboration between indoor and field grown, because look at what is going on outside. How many times this week did we have updates of freezes in the desert? And we're talking about flooding in California. There are problems with growing outdoors, and the last couple of years have been doozy after doozy after doozy outside. So we need to find a way to mitigate some of this risk. And then you add the transportation, then you add the freight, then you add the water. Although California is kind of wringing itself out right now, how much of that water is going to stick around to be useful is another, topic altogether. But
We have a column on that.
Richard Smalley's on top of the water in California.
Oh,
So there is the opportunity, and it is clearly showing the need for some kind of solutions to take the miles out of it, to take the weather out of the equation. So there is a need for indoor farming. Is it going to completely replace outdoor farming? No. Is it going to completely revolutionize everything today? No. But are they going to start suddenly churning out billions of dollars in profit? Also no.
well, profit margins among farmers is notoriously not high.
No, and a lot of these software bros that are dumping money into venture capital want to see some returns on it, and they are not getting it. So,
but we also have retail news this week. We had some surveys and some things that raised our eyebrows.
yeah.
Seeing that Aldi is the number one most popular retail chain in the U.S., that's not shocking. But looking behind, where did you get all this info? And who else is on your list? And who isn't on?
If you're like me, you've got your news trend alerts for all the retailers, right? I keep my thumb on the pulse here. And I kept getting all these stories this week of Aldi was voted the most popular grocery store in America. I mean, it is the most popular grocery store in the Johnson household, for sure. But
proximity has something to do with that as well.
Proximity has a lot to do with it, because Aldi is virtually unknown to a lot of people in the United States. It is a very concentrated grocery store. They drop double-digit stores in a new market and then stick to it because they only grow organically. They don't grow through acquisition. So, I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, was it 5 years ago? They launched this huge expansion plan, and sure, they were planning on expanding, but they've got 2,200 stores. They're not small by any means, but are they the most popular? Really? I have a feeling that Trader Joe's, Wegmans, Kroger, HEB, and Publix have something to say about that. But it made me go, where did this information come from? And it came from, and this is, I mean, a research firm based in the United Kingdom can, of course, research the United States grocery stores. But as soon as I expanded the list of most popular grocery stores in America and saw Fresh and Easy Neighborhood Market, a grocery store that has not existed in the United States since 2015, I think.
Yeah, almost a decade. Yeah.
Immediately no.
No, and when you see 7-Eleven at number 4 and Circle K at number 6, you're like, now what? On what basis? Who's buying groceries at these places?
I think my biggest point from seeing something like this and writing something about this is that news media members like myself need to check their sources and make sure that it's legit and make sure that it makes sense, because it didn't really make sense. Although retailers, if you made this list, you were probably like, sweet, someone else said we're the most popular. The only time they don't want to see this is the least popular grocery store in America, or the America's worst grocery store. And I've seen some good names put on that list as well. But it always makes me laugh when I see these things. I like to see the methodology on that stuff and wonder how people chose Circle K and 7-Eleven as popular grocery stores in America. But when I saw Fresh and Easy, which if you don't remember, if it's been so long that you don't remember what Fresh and Easy was, Tesco, also based in the United Kingdom, decided to drop 200 stores in California and Arizona in wackadoodle places in the worst locations in retail, and serve up mostly value added and private label stuff that people had never heard of. And surprising no one, they closed after a few years, and it was considered a monumental flop and they lost billions. So long story short.
But number 2 on that list was Trader Joe's. And we also had this week their Customer Choice Awards. And there are a couple different ways you can take this. One is, are customers really looking to Trader Joe's to be the best at bananas?
So I can remember a couple of years ago, I praised this list because they picked the branded teeny tiny avocados as their number 1, and those are still in the top 5. But bananas are back at the top of the list, and it makes me wonder, because everything else on this list is picking from what people think about when they think about shopping at Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's, you want to see something that's unique. You want to see like trendy, flavor forward, just something you don't find anywhere else. And to look at the rest of the list, it's international flavors like chicken tikka masala and elote corn chips and things like that. And then when you look at the produce, it's not even the entire like wet wall. It's not wet at Trader Joe's, but anyway, the salad kits and all the innovation and all the cool things that they have in value added in Trader Joe's didn't make the list. The list was bananas, Honeycrisp apples, carrots, avocados, and Brussels sprouts. Commodity crops.
The rainbow carrots, they're different.
Carrots. I mean, rainbow carrots, but it was Honeycrisp apples. It wasn't even like a fancy apple. I would consider Honeycrisp to be like the grandfather of fancy apples. So where's the disconnect here? People who are going for like super wackadoodle flavors in center store, and then they go to produce and they buy apples and bananas. You know what? It doesn't make it make sense to me, because it doesn't.
They don't do anything special with bananas, but price them by the each.
Yeah,
they're the same bananas.
They don't, and maybe they could have a fancier banana. I don't know. Is there an opportunity there for marketing and merchandising? And I mentioned in my column that I feel like there is. If consumers are drawn toward bulk in Trader Joe's, why doesn't Trader Joe's marketing and merchandising itself as the coolest bulk things you can get? Like, we got it all. They do have the newer apple varieties, but I'm not seeing them like chucked at people like they do in the Fearless Flyer with, hey, have you seen, I just bought some onion salt there. That is the best like version of garlic/onion salt I've ever had. And we've probably eaten half of it already. You know, that kind of thing. But instead, people are just buying their bananas by the each. And there's nothing special about it. There's nothing special about the Honeycrisp apple you buy at Trader Joe's. Come on.
So it's a missed opportunity.
I feel like it's a missed opportunity. I feel like it's a disconnect between what you think Trader Joe's is and then the reality of what people see Trader Joe's produce is. Or maybe this is just they were on the list, and instead of having a thing that they could check off of all the things that they want, I want to know the methodology of this one too, because it doesn't make sense to me. So maybe Trader Joe's can give me a call and make it make sense to me, because it doesn't right now. And on that,
was floral on that list? Because their flowers are really nice.
Yeah, their flowers are really nice. They're really cheap too. They're fantastic. I have like live plants from Trader Joe's. So it's not that I dislike Trader Joe's. I just see this list and I'm like, it could be better. It could be better, and it doesn't match what I think of when I walk in that store and I feel like I'm gonna buy all the fancy cheese and all the wackadoodle spices and the canned things that I don't see anywhere else.
Frozen too.
What I get. Right? Yeah. So we're going to leave it at that because we're out of time. So that's it for the Produce Reporter Weekend Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
And go Chiefs.
And go Chiefs. Chewy.